Live.
All right, we're rolling. Let's do it. In 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome back. It's the PAWSitively Petland Show, AM 800 KXIC. I'm Jay Capron with Ron Salzard here. He's with Petland of Iowa City. And we're back to talk about the Schnauzer. We'll talk about the Schnauzer. Is that breed right for you? A beautiful white Schnauzer at Petland of Iowa City at the time of recording. May have gone home with the family, but you never know. You got to go check it out. We'll learn about that. We'll also talk about breeding and not breeding, training tips. And then at the end, we're going to have a special food that's made right here in the state of Iowa. And it's a hot seller on the shelves at Petland of Iowa City. So we'll dive right into it with the Schnauzer. I am going to ruin your guessing game. It's from Germany.
Okay, but now we got to take it one step further. So it
the Ottoman
originates
Empire.
I don't know. I'm just what year do you think? And we're going to talk specifically about the miniature Schnauzer. What time frame?
Miniature Schnauzer.
Yeah. What time frame do you think the miniature Schnauzer?
1700s.
Little, not as far back as the
1800s.
1899.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I
that's
thought
sooner. They're more recent than I realized.
And so they were a small farm dog, able to take care of the rodents and all that kind of stuff. And that's what we hear so often for so many breeds out there, is that they were that breed, had a duty that it needed to take care of on the farm. And in this case, it was keeping those little vermins under control.
Helpful
Little guys. So that's the miniature Schnauzer. They did see some German paintings dating back to, and this would get back to the 15th century, but the miniature Schnauzer really came into play in that early 1899 era. So the Schnauzer, it is one of those distinguished, type breeds out there. It's got that fancy little cut where the top is real short and longer on the sides and all that kind of stuff. It's got a unique look to it and everything. So it's a really nice, prominent, but little dog, because there is a standard Schnauzer that you don't see too much out there anymore. There are a few Schnauzers, standard Schnauzers, but the miniature Schnauzers, and that means that they're much smaller. They were bred to be smaller, about 12 to 14 inches at the shoulder. And so it's the right pet for a lot of different people for just that reason, and that they are a smaller breed. You can have them in apartments. It gets almost all the energy out that it needs, but this guy's a little bigger. So if you want to go for a run, the Schnauzer is going to want to go for a run with you.
I love that beard.
The beard. And then it's got the beard.
Yes. The beard is cute. And I pulled one up just to see about the miniature ones specifically. And I that stands out right away. I don't know if do you have to cut it like that, or it just kind of grows a longer?
Definitely, it's a unique cut for the Schnauzer, and the groomer. You want your groomer to know how to do the Schnauzer cut. If I hear one cut that gets scrutinized the most, it's the Schnauzer cut. If you don't have it done right, people, that's not the way you're supposed to cut the Schnauzer.
Really?
Yeah. Huh? So it's really tight on the back, and then letting that beard grow, and there is even some more detail that they're working on the head as far as the grooming side of things. So
there's a giant Schnauzer too.
Yeah, there's some Schnauzers.
Rare though, right?
Yeah, I don't ever see the giant. I see the standard from time to time.
Oh, interesting. The Schnauzer. So that's the breed of the week. What colors do they come in?
It comes primarily in that, black, charcoal, or that salt and pepper type mix, and then white are the three main colors that you're going to see out there. They tend to be a smarter, very trainable breed. They tend to be perky, great for the apartments, like what we said. but they do have that energy enough to get out there and run around and have some fun. So if you're looking for a little more interaction when you're outside, the Schnauzer is a great one to go for. Grooming aspects, like we said, if you want to keep that true Schnauzer groom, you're going to probably get that done every month and a half or so because of that tight back hair, where they keep it really short.
Mhm.
You're going to want to have that done a little bit more frequently. Hey, but that is less maintenance than for you in between. You're not combing that out or anything like that because it's like a guy getting a crew cut, kind of a thing. The longer hair on the sides and on the legs and that beard, okay, there's a little bit of maintenance, but pretty minimal when you see, in the big picture. We talk about trainability. This is one of those smarter breeds out there where you want to be up on your training, like what we're going to talk about here in the next segment. If you're not training the Schnauzer, the Schnauzer is going to start training you. If you've ever seen that dog owner that goes, "Gosh, my dog just won't let me be," the dog is saying, "Come on, I want to interact with you. I want to do this, and come on over here." We have one of those at our house. We have the lazy dachshund that would love to just sleep throughout the entire day. Oh, did something drop on the floor? I'll go get that right away. Getting the food scraps that might have hit. But then Susie, the Maltese poodle, which is also a smarter dog, she is constantly saying, "What do you want to do now? What do you want to do now? Is there something we can do? Go throw the ball." Light interaction throughout the day is really good for these breeds, and keeps them occupied and active and fun and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of times out of trouble. So that is the Schnauzer. I guess the one last thing I wanted to say is that little to no shedding. So if you're looking for that non-shedding breed, the Schnauzer is in that.
Yeah, that was actually the only last note I had was when I was looking at that the photo right next to the photo. It said hypoallergenic. So I was thinking to myself, wow, that's something else to consider is when we talk about breeds and why people like certain breeds. That would certainly be one of them, is that you're not going to have a whole bunch of Schnauzer fur to deal with, apparently.
Right. And so while that helps you on the shedding side, but we already talked about it, you're just going to have that dog groomed. If you're looking for a low maintenance dog, find a dog that has short hair but is shedding. You're not going to notice it too much around the house. The short hair plus a small dog means, wow, there's just not much hair. But if you want the non-shedding because of allergies, or I just can't stand any hair anywhere, then the more of that non-shedding or less shedding dogs that are out there are the right ones for you. The Schnauzer definitely fits that bill.
All right, that's Ron Schnauzer with Petland of Iowa City, and that is the breed of the week, the Schnauzer. So now on to some more training techniques here. As we've talked about in the past, we always find ways to get tie in training and kind of lay the groundwork a little bit. Remind our listeners, anyone who may have missed the show last week, just briefly what you were starting to dive into, and then we'll expand from there.
Yeah, that's what we were talking last week was just introducing the rollover technique. That's what we got to. When you're training your dog, and you can do this, we'll apply it to the cat along the way. There's just a little bit of subtle differences with cats. But your dog is the first step is showing them that you're the alpha, so to speak, in the family. You're in charge. Follow my direction. You're the lead. That kind of message is what you need to give to your dog. The first way to do that is using what mom did in the litter, and that was rolling the puppy over on its back. And then if it was doing something wrong, it rolled it over, and then it gird right into the chest of the dog. Now, this told the puppy, whatever you were doing just now, you're not supposed to be doing. And mom would then repeat that every time the dog did that, the little puppy did that. With frequency, that puppy started to understand, oh, it's the whatever, biting the other dog's ear that you don't want me to. I thought you meant whenever I walked into this corner, you didn't want me to do that. Just kind of put yourself in their corner. If let's say it's a bark, and they're barking for something, they see something outside, and they go ruff, 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 and you go over and you do the rollover or give them a timeout in the kennel or whatever. They're like going, what was that all about? Why? What? It's just a confusion kind of a thing. So now let's say you've now done it 10 times and you were very consistent. Every time the first bark came out, oh, wait, now I'm back in the kennel, or wait, you're rolling me over again. What? Hey, now they're starting to understand whenever I bark, I get rolled over. Hey, I understand you're in charge, and I really don't want to go through. Oh, okay, I'm going to start not doing it. And they're going to test those boundaries, though. They're going to say, can I bark over here? Can I bark over there? They're going to see, where can I bark? Because in the past, I was barking and life was okay, and you didn't seem to be too irritated with that. Now you're doing this rollover thing, and I'm confused, but I'm starting to understand a pattern here. And that's how we communicate. If they spoke English or we spoke bark, we'd be able to communicate better. But we don't.
It'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Life would be a little bit easier. But they don't. And so this is how we got to figure out, how do we communicate to them? Well, mom did this in the litter. Well, let's simulate this in our own homes so that we can talk to them just like mom did. Roll them over. In our case, we're going to put our hand on the chest, nothing crazy strong or hard, or we're definitely not talking about yelling or hitting. And you're just a firm hand on the chest, and you can come out with a no, like a nice stern no. Ladies, you might need to get those lower tones out, like we said last week, and a grr might help there. And so you're going to do that. And again, the big key this week is repetition and consistency. So you every time they do that behavior. So I'm going to say, be selective in what you're doing here. If you're going to attack 5 problems all at one time, you're probably going to get frustrated, and the dog's going to get frustrated. Pick one thing that they're doing. In our case, Susie, our little trouble child, Susie, that is tenacious and real smart. She was, about 2 pounds, all of 2 pounds, but she wanted to play with our adult dog, which was a dachshund, and she kept on biting the ears of Callie. We thought it was funny at the beginning and everything was okay, but Callie was not doing a natural dog thing, in that she was not saying, stop it. She was not communicating back to little Susie, the baby, that I don't want you to do this. They can.
Poor Callie.
Right. And that's exactly the way we felt.
Susie's picking on it.
Dogs will communicate back and forth with a simple little bite. If no blood, no nothing like that, but a bite. We've all seen it, where they'll be scruffing around, playing, and then all of a sudden you'll hear a yipe.
Yeah.
And
puppies specifically too. They're trying to figure each other out and stuff.
And sometimes, you know what, you're irritating me right now. I'm going to give you a quick bite to the neck. No blood or anything like that. That's how they communicate. Well, Callie, our adult dog, wouldn't do that to Susie. She would just let her chew on her ear, almost like giving her ear, kind of a thing.
All right, go ahead.
After like a week of this, we looked at Callie's ears, and they were literally raw. Like, hey, we got to do something here.
Yeah.
And or she's gonna have no ears left. So with Susie, hey, she's a baby. This is a great time to do this, but realize you can teach an old dog a new trick too. So we then started working with Susie. So, hey, she's already used to doing this. She thought she has the okay to do this. Now all of a sudden we're changing the game up on her. So every time she went over to Callie, started biting on the ears, we would walk to Susie, roll her over, and go, no, and then put her back down. And that's all we did. We then did it repetitiously. So she went at that time right back to the ear, started biting it. Well, picked her back up.
Right again.
Did it again. Another thing to add to all of this, don't overdo things. So let's do this for about 5 minutes, show her the thing. But now everybody's going to start getting irritated, because you're going to say, no, this isn't working. And the dog's going, I am getting tired of this rollover thing. Just like a child would get tired in a classroom, the puppy is also going to get tired, or the dog is going to get tired of the training episode. So I always say, make your training episodes brief, like 5 minutes is fine usually. Now the dog is going to understand it in doses, and it also understands this is something permanent. This isn't something that I'm going to have to stop for today, but tomorrow I'm going to come back and do it. You're going to be consistent over time. How did we get Callie or Susie to stop biting Callie's ears in the meantime, Susie had a little time out because she needed it. They're puppies. She needed a lot of sleep. So we just put her in her kennel and got her away from Callie so Callie can get a little relief there. We might have also let Callie up on a couch or something, get her away from this situation. So whatever the thing that you're trying to stop, get them to remove that issue, whatever it is, so that you can get a break for a while. You can come back later in the day, but I typically do our training about 5 minutes a day, maybe multiple times a day if I'm really trying to send the message home. I do that to this day, and Susie's now, 6 or 7 years old. Callie's somewhere around 12 or 13 years old. But I still work with them on training, and I do it now. It's like 30 seconds, and it's just refreshing the different things that we want to work with. Susie, for instance, was a maniac when it came to feeding time. She was the one that would step on the bowls and tip them over, and the water was all over the place and all that. And I soon found if I had her just sit, kind of a thing. So I taught her how to sit, and I said, Susie, sit, and had her just settle down and sit there while Callie finished her meal. And then I worked with Susie to help her with her meal. And it was a whole process. There was one point when I had to have Susie sit in her kennel where she slept all night. The door was wide open, but she had to sit in her kennel while Callie ate because it got so pandemonium in there. And so I would have Susie sit. Oh, did she test me? You betcha she did. She would start coming out, pick her back up, put her back in I go, nope. And then I put her back down into the kennel, and I would say, sit. I'd already worked with her on that. And so she knew that she had to get her little bottom down onto the ground. And then I would say, stay. And so that was another thing that I had to work with it. So this whole process of getting her to settle down for food, realize there are like 5 different steps to get through that. I first had to do sit. On how to do that, and we can cover that maybe at the end because that's a nice basic thing to teach your dog. Stay, how to make your dog or teach your dog to stay on command in a loving way. Then I had to teach her come. So it's okay, now you can come over to where I'm at. So there was another command there. I then had her sit again because she was getting crazy again. So I said, Susie, sit. And then I would say, okay. And that was now you eat kind of a thing. There was 5 steps there. Holy cow. None of that happened in one day. That was over time. And I just had to do that kennel thing because she was still getting crazy and she was too excited when the food was getting divvied out and everything. So that's why I had to put her back in the kennel with the door open and teach her to stay there. So a whole lot of different training steps there just to get through the feeding to this day. So 7 years into it, now she can come into the laundry room where we're getting the food ready and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, it's so nice because Susie comes running in there. She sits immediately.
Just waits
and she just waits for you.
Nice.
She waits for Callie to eat. She doesn't even go by Callie. She just sits off to the corner, just waits. And then when I go, okay, Susie, and she then runs to the bowl and waits for me to dump it in, kind of a thing.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's always really a successful story there, and some hope for people out there that maybe are experiencing a similar issue.
And it started all with the sit command.
Yeah, why don't we go through that here? We have time for probably go through the sit, and then we can go with the food and that. Yeah.
So the sit command is fairly easy. Get a treat. And we talked last week about your 3 main reasons to incentivize your dog, or 3 ways to incentivize. Food is scientifically proven. Number 1, it's something that you're going to do on the front end and then wean off over time. But you're going to continue doing number 2, and that is tactile scratching around the cheek area. They love that. Nowhere near as much as that food. So if you eliminate the treat aspect, you could still do this, but they're not going to be as motivated. So then so tactile. And then the third thing is the voice. And that's a reassuring a word or pleasant phrase that comes out of your mouth. They're going to understand that over time, what is good and what is bad. They're going to understand, oh gosh, he said that. That's not good. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. But if you come back and go, good dog. And while you're scratching and giving them a little treat, you've done 3 things that they love, and you're going to incentivize them. So with the sit, you're going to take the treat, and you got to, if you're not driving, close your eyes right now. I need you to visualize this. So your dog is coming up to you. You've got a treat pinched between your thumb and your forefinger. Doesn't have to be a big treat. It should be a small treat. I want you to put it out so that the dog knows it's there. And they should, if you need to introduce them to treats, sometimes they don't know what you're doing. Let them know that there's a treat in your finger. Do not give it to them at this point. They can lick it, but do not let them take it. So you're going to put it up. They're coming up to you. They're standing, and their head is up. You want to go high enough where their head is looking upward. Now I want you, and their mouth is right on that treat, and they're looking at it and everything. I want you to now push backwards. Dogs will naturally sit when you push gently backwards. I've had, this is about 80% of the time. Those 20% of you out there that have a dog that won't sit, and you're scooting them all around the house and they just won't sit, put them up against the wall, back them into a corner or a wall, and then they'll sit. That's what I have found works for them. If you want to give them a light touch on the back, I've done that as well, just to say, okay, what I want you to do is put this back end down. Immediately when they put the back end down, release that treat and give it to them, so that you've incentivized them, so that when their bottom is now on the ground, they are now getting the reward.
Meanwhile, saying sit.
Sit,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now at the same time, you want to go sit. And so now they're coupling a command with a huge reward. And then when the bottom is down, good dog, scratch, scratch, scratch. So now you've done a really good job of incentivizing. You've put a command to it. And they're all giddy about it. They're like going, holy cow, I can't believe this. The first time, remember, you got to do this consistently, and you got to do it frequently. There's got to be some frequency in here for them to understand the pattern. They're looking for patterns all the time, and they'll pick up good patterns and bad patterns. This is a good pattern that you want to go. So continue doing it. Maybe it's 5 times in one training session to let them know the pattern. You can now take a break. You can do it later on in the day. You can do it tomorrow. To be consistent with it. You are going to find your dog being able to sit really quick. It's one of those, holy cow, I had no idea that I can communicate this well to my dog. You're going to also understand this is how you communicate to your dog. So there's all sorts of other things you can do. So that was the sit. And how to do that. I want you to work on that over the next week, because we're going to come back.
Nice
with
little homework here.
We're gonna come back next week with stay and come. How to deal with those types. There's some things that you can do to help them understand that. So sit is just putting that up, get their head up, push back, release, say sit when their bottom goes down.
Nice.
Every single time.
I do remember, I did it as a kid, so I know it can't be that difficult. I remember teaching my dog to sit, and he picked up on it pretty quick. So go for that. And then, hey, once you got a dog that can sit, you can teach him to maybe stay, and then you can have a little bit more peace if you have a dog that's just going crazy around the house. So that's one way you can help out. That's Ron Schnauzer with Petland of Iowa City. Just enough time to feature a local food here today, one of the favorites off the shelves at Petland of Iowa City, and it's made here in Iowa, right?
Yeah, it's made by the Grain Processing Company. Another one of the smaller, and where this is actually made, is Kent Feed, which we know, hey, I see Kent Feed trucks and stuff like that. Well, that is mainly for farms, is Kent Feed, but they have been in the dog food market for quite a while. About 2 years ago, they came out with By Nature, and it was one of those head turners. When I saw it at the trade show, I knew who they were. I knew the people that work over there. They come into our store, we talk with them, and all that kind of stuff. And I just was taken aback by the approach that they took with this new dog, and they have a cat version called By Nature. Premium food. So this is one of those that you're going to feed less because it's nutrients dense, meaning that when you buy those foods from the grocery market, those are less nutrients dense. They're selling to you based on price. That's what grocery stores and the marts and all that kind of stuff do. Just listen to their ads. It's on a special price. It's on a new low price. Lower is better. Falling prices. They're selling to you on price. And so the products that they carry are based on that theme. Dog and cat food are really based on that theme. You can make dog and cat food less expensive by just using some of the similar sounding names of ingredients, but you and I cannot digest it, nor can our dogs or cats. For instance, hair is one of the products that those cheaper brands use. And you're going, that is just disgusting, Ron. I'm on the way to church right now and you're making me gag. Hair is actually designated as a protein source. I don't know all the ins and outs of why that is, but it is a protein source. But our bodies can't digest it and consume that protein. We're not capable, nor are our cats and dogs. But cat food and dog food can claim it on the label as a protein source. So they can say, oh, it's got 20%, 30% of protein, and that is one of the components of that protein. But it's just going to pass right through their bodies. Take that and extrapolate that through all the ingredients. Those are what cheaper dog foods do and cat foods. So when you go up to a premium, yes, they're more expensive because hair is cheap, but the other stuff is more expensive, but it's great for your dogs and cats. What I have found, and this is through just using dog food and cat food premium versions, is you'll actually feed about half as much. If you're using one of those really, really cheap dog foods, you're actually going to use a third as much of the premium foods. That's how big of a difference there is. The benefit is that you're going to pick up half as much as well in the litter box or out in the yard. So huge benefit there. And you're not going to spend any more for it. By Nature takes this whole principle to the next level. They call it the superfusion advanced formula. What they're going is into that prebiotics and probiotic type approach to their foods. They go into a whole process where, you know how you have to mix the food and change it over time and all that? Their big claim is, hey, we've got so much going on in our food to help the digestion of both your dog and cat. You're not even going to have to worry about that. It's like eating, the yogurts and the cottage cheeses that gets those enzymes and all that kind of stuff going. So they're really big on the prebiotic and probiotic. High quality proteins. They say it right on their label. What do you think they're talking about when they say high quality protein? They don't have the hair and all that kind of stuff. They actually have the meat that they can digest and turn into energy for their bodies. They're loaded with antioxidants, other rich superfoods, where we know those are starting to catch on really big in the human side. It's really starting to get advanced on the dog and cat side as well. So a really great premium dog food. Cat food is the same way. This is one of those, when you bring it into your house, you're going to end up feeding less. You're going to have to feed less, or your dog or cat will actually gain weight. So you're going to feed less. As a result, your dog and cat is going to be feeling good, looking good, because their skin and coat is going to get healthier on all of this. They're going to just be overall healthier, and you're going to pick up less in the yard or through that litter box. So it's a really great premium food. And this is one of all of our dog and cat foods that is on that buy 10, get one free. So you're going to sign up for Club Pet if you're not already in our store, and we track it for you. Then it's under your name. And when that 11th one comes around, we go, here it is, and it's a little party in the store at that point, because you just saved a ton of money that day on your dog or your cat food. And that's a great thing. It's just fun.
There you go. It's By Nature, and it's made in Iowa. That's Ron Salzard. I'm Jake Caper. We are out of time for the show. Check it out online at kxisc.com. And in the Sunday morning show, you can catch it on the air, AM 800 KXIC in the 9 o'clock hour. Bye.